All right. So I just want to take a few minutes and review the article on Khan Academy. Depending on when you're watching this video, you will either see this article in the near future or you've already seen it. But I don't know if you actually read it or just kind of skimmed through it or didn't read it at all. Um, I know when we're not in class, it's easier to kind of skim by some things, and maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I get it, but I do want to just show you a few things, highlight some things from this particular article that you will want to make sure that you know and expect to see on an upcoming quiz or test in the near future. And so I'm not going to read the whole article to you, of course. I'm not going to try to cover every single thing in the article. Again, that's more on you. But I do want to just hit a few points in just a few minutes here. So I would encourage you and recommend that you know the uh, functions and the differences of the digestive system as outlined right here in the key terms, and then the excretory system. Obviously, knowing that they work together, but there is a specific function for the digestive system, that being converting food into energy and nutrients to fuel the body. And then, of course, the excretory system being that which removes metabolic waste from the body. So we look down here and we see a diagram of some of the major organs in the digestive system there. And so I would, again, recommend make sure that you know what the major organs are if you're asked to list them or to label them. You don't have to know specific details and all the nuances of what each organ does in minute detail or anything like that, but you will want to know what they are, just a basic overview of the function of that organ, and maybe be able to identify it. And then we kind of come down here, and the article starts tracking through the basically it's the GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract. It's essentially the start of the digestive system, which really is the mouth. It's not in the stomach. That's a misconception that digestion begins in the stomach. It does not. It begins here in the oral cavity or the mouth. But that gastrointestinal tract or that GI tract is from the entrance all the way through to the exit of that system of the food, from the beginning to the end. And so that's essentially what this article is taking us through, noting that the mouth offers or it provides the mechanical digestion with the actual physical tearing and chewing of food. And then the saliva begins to break down that food, we see right here, using chemical digestion. And then we go to the esophagus, which really no digestion really happens here. It's more of a transport, so to speak, for the food. And so we come down to the stomach, where more mechanical and digestion takes place. And so you can read a little bit more about that. And then we get into the small intestine here, and then, of course, the large intestine. One thing I do want you to note is that most nutrient absorption occurs in the small intestine. Nutrients are absorbed through its walls into the circulatory system. And by the time it exits the small intestine, all that's left is water and a bunch of undigestible substances. So I do want you to make note of that. And of course, the accessory organs, that being the, not that they're not important, obviously, but they're not considered, I guess, major organs as you would think of when you think about the digestive system. And that is your saliva glands, your liver, gallbladder, pancreas. And so I would just recommend that you know what those accessory organs are. You don't have to know all the details and finer points of them, but just know what they are and that they are accessory organs in the digestive system. And then, of course, we can't talk about the digestive system without talking about the excretory system, because they do work hand in hand essentially. And again, as I said earlier, the excretory system removes metabolic waste from the body. And there are several organs. There's the kidneys, of course, that are involved in that, and then several others that are involved. And you can see those listed right in here: the skin, the lungs, and the liver. And of course, those functions there being to remove excess water, carbon dioxide, exhaling, and then of course breaking down toxic substances through the liver. And then you have the urinary tract, and you can read about that there. But there are just this one area here that I do want to highlight, that urine is excreted from the body, of course, and that process really takes place in three major steps, that being filtration, reabsorption, and excretion. So I would draw your attention to that, kind of highlight those areas there, and just make sure you are aware of those. And then it ends with just some common misconceptions. One, I think I mentioned earlier, about how digestion does not begin in the stomach. It actually begins in the oral cavity, the mouth. It says the digestive system does not produce urine. That is a function of the excretory system. And then, of course, the small intestine is actually longer than the large intestine, approximately 20 feet in length. The small intestine is, which is nearly 4 times as long as the large intestine, which would be approximately 5 feet. So you can, again, read the article itself if you haven't already. If you did, that's great. And just be aware of some of those things that I highlighted in this video. Feel free to go back and jot those things down if you need to, or replay this or whatever. But hopefully you're doing all right as you kind of track through the week in biology. Please text me or email me or call or whatever you need to do to get a hold of me. And I'll be available most definitely to help you with anything you need. All right. I will look forward to touching base with you all soon. All right. Bye.